Good evening, Zimbabwe, and welcome to Zim Daily, your Facebook page, where we bring you information that is helpful for everyone's consumption. I think most of you have looked at what has been happening in the media, and there has been the issue of continued recalls by the MDC, led by Dr. Thokozani Kupe. So we just want to have a conversation around that issue what exactly is going on, what is the plan, what is the intention of the MDC-T in recalling members of the MDC Alliance from council. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and I do hope I find you well. There has been recall of 11 councillors. You can imagine what is happening in the townhouse now. There should be no one there. 11 councillors have been taken, and they've been recalled. So there's nothing really. So there's the letter. There's the letter that we saw circulating in the media today. Let's take a closer look at it. I don't know what you're doing, but I just had to grab a cup of coffee for this one because I've realized that there's just so much happening and a whole lot of people are quiet about it. So we just want to have this conversation today. What is it? What is your take on everything that is going on now? Is it something that you expected? Yes, the Supreme Court judgment came a couple of months ago. Some have called it a COVID-19 judgment. Others have called it all sorts of names. People have accused the MDC-T of being captured, and a lot of things have been happening. I mean, we have had conversations around these issues in our combis, in our different spaces that we've occupied. And so we just thought, why don't we just sit down and talk about this? Is it really what Zimbabweans were expecting to see a couple of years ago when they, put their ballot down and voted for certain individuals into public office? So we're waiting for representatives of the MDC-T, led by Dr. Tokozani Kube. We are also waiting for members of the MDC Alliance, Honorable Siso Rizai, who is the Secretary for Local Government in the MDC Alliance. We are also waiting for a resident representative of a residents' trust. They've been struggling with the network. So we'll continue to have this conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, Maxwell, for watching from Botswana. We appreciate you here on Zimbabwe Daily, your platform of choice, always first and fast with the news. So we want to have an appreciation of what exactly these recalls imply. I'm not a lawyer, so it would be very interesting to hear from lawyers kuti vanombozvionawo sei zviri kuitika mukati menyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So we want to make sure that the information that we are sharing with each other is not just my emotions that kukungokanda apo nepapo, but we are able to look at the issues that are happening and consider to say, what exactly does this mean to the vote that I put on the 31st of July 2018? What does it mean to my community as a community member? Wakavotera munhu wakavotera, and suddenly you're told this person has been recalled by a party that they belong to. Should political parties wield so much power when it comes to recalls and recalling who should be in parliament, who should be in council, and etc.? So we want to have that conversation with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us from other countries. We also want to hear your experiences. What is it that happened? What is it that happens in your own country? We want to hear that so that our debate is informed with best practice everywhere else. In the last few weeks, we saw people petitioning the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to say, you know what, we're tired. We're tired. We don't want the recalls. We voted for certain people and we are not understanding what is going on. This is the conversation that we want to have today. I'm just waiting for my guests. One of them is Nguru. Mr. Chiwonde Guam told is supposed to come on behalf of the MDC of the MDC-T, and Honorable Cecil Rizai for the MDC Alliance. We wait for them to come. In the meantime, I want to hear from you. What has been your reaction? Kunema recalls and repeat choir. What is the agenda? Have you been able to ask what the agenda is? Have you had an understanding of what is going on? Or is it politics that is playing and rearing its ugly head once again? So we keep on calling Honorable Rizai, Honorable Kalipani Pugeni, the spokesperson of the MDC-T, and Mr. Akili, the coordinator at the Combined Harare Residents Association, so that we also get an appreciation from them of what they think this issue, the implications of this issue. Okay, I see someone is trying to get in, but network issues. Oh gosh, we really want to have this conversation so we understand whether the citizenry actually has power, actually has control over anything to do with elections, or it's all about the politicians, it's all about, you know, the ones who are in power. So we want to have this conversation. We're just waiting for guests to come in. Right, Honorable Rizai.
Sorry, we're
Having a bit of conflict there.
Hello, Yvonne.
Yes, Honorable Rizai, thank you so much for coming on board.
Pleasure, Yvonne. Thank you so much for letting me in.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us, Honorable Rizai. We're having this conversation right here on Zimbabwe Daily, where we want to understand where we are right now with the recalls of your councillors from, especially those from the city of Harare. We have seen these as residents, and we are concerned to say what exactly is going on and why is it going on, and especially at this time. Is this what the the Supreme Court judgment, is it what it dictates, that once a certain judgment comes through, then certain people have to leave office? So, Honorable Jidzai, you are the MDC Alliance Secretary for Local Government. Thank you so much for joining us on Zim Daily.
Thank you, Yvonne. It's a pleasure to be on this platform so that we can talk about the goings on in the local government sector in the country with the people of Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we continue to wait for the MDC-T representative. We're expecting them anytime from now. They've been complaining about network challenges. We're also expecting somebody from the residents trust so that we can have this conversation together. Now, in tonight's episode of Behind the Mic, we look at the most recent recalls of 11 MDC Alliance Harare councillors. We want to understand the rationale behind these recalls. Is it standard procedure or it's just a matter of settling scores? Vajidai, when you are looking at this issue, do you feel that the MDC-T is justified in doing what they are doing, or they're trying to settle a political score using the electorate?
Must I go for it?
Yes, please.
No, thank you so much. I think the matter is beyond the MDC-T, the way I see it. Firstly, when you look at the Supreme Court ruling, it turned the arms of time back to 2014 and requested that an EOC be held, which has not happened, which should have by now happened, so that that aspect would have been dealt with and dispensed with. It's clear that the ruling is being abused by the MDC-T in collaboration with ZANU-PF. The ruling didn't talk about recalling people that were elected under the MDC Alliance ticket. If you look at all these councillors and all these mayors that are being recalled, these are people who clearly, according to the electoral law, according to the nomination courts, were sponsored by the MDC Alliance. And so it's confusing, it's confounding that an MDC-T, which actually competed in the 2018 election and failed to go beyond 50,000 votes and failed to get any directly elected member of parliament, failed to get any mayors in the 32 local authorities, is now miraculously in charge of all these people that were deployed and sponsored by the MDC Alliance. So it's very awkward. We are in a very seriously awkward situation, which I can only see is a result of the politics of this country, where ZANU-PF, having lost the confidence of the urban people, is trying all tricks to creep back into the urban local authorities. So this is what is happening. It's way beyond our colleagues, the Monzoras and them. It's a ZANU-PF ploy to creep back into areas they were rejected. That's how I was supposed to.
You exonerate the MDC-T. We continue to try getting hold of leader Kalipani Pugeni, who is the MDC-T spokesperson. I spoke to him earlier on, asking for a guest to come on the show, and he's just sending in his apology. He's just sending in his apology, but I hope you keep trying. He's complaining about network. So we keep trying them to see who will be able to come through onto the platform as we have this conversation around the recalls. We want to understand if this is a political move of setting scores or it is standard procedure. And Honorable Jizai just mentioned that you exonerate the MDC-T from this because you feel it is something coming from a third force. As we have come to know, our country has got so many forces behind the force that we see. Now, there is a
I wouldn't really say exonerate them. They are just a willing tool that is being used by ZANU-PF. So the tool and the user are to blame because they are taking away representatives of the people. The people voted for these councillors, and they were sponsored by the MDC Alliance. The MDC-T is coming in as a willing tool to ZANU-PF shenanigans, and both are to blame.
So ZANU-PF is trying to reverse the desires of the voting population by using the MDC-T to make such recalls, you feel?
Absolutely. Why would something that the courts had said was moot, suddenly it's alive, suddenly these guys are recalling MDC Alliance deployees. How does that happen? It's miraculous. And how does a politician really celebrate getting miracle councillors and miracle mayors?
All right, and let's talk about what the local government board should be doing right now. Are you not worried that a commission is going to be, established for Harare in particular, given that we now have about 24 councillors out of the
Well,
required
I think
46? Sorry?
I think that question is most celebrated. I would think that question is best well answered by Douglas Monzora and Coupe and July Moyo, because as far as we are concerned, these councillors should be completing their term and serving the people that voted them into power.
Now, we clearly there is a problem somewhere. There are people who feel that the recalls are meant also to punish some of your councillors who were supposedly given support to the MDC-T, but went ahead to vote for Jacob Mafume ahead of Lakson Kunguma for the post of mayor of Harare. What's your take on that?
It's very clear, Yvonne. All along since March 30th, the dispute between the MDC-T and the MDC Alliance has been in the courts, in the captured courts. The first day the dispute went to the people, people power prevailed. The first time that dispute went to the people decided to vote for Jacob Mafume ahead of Mukunguma. Apart from the massive sticks that the councillors were shown, they were threatened with recalls if Mukunguma didn't become a mayor. Some of them were promised carrots, which were dangled in their face. But because it's people power decided that the correct thing to do was to vote for the MDC Alliance, because this is the hope of the people. So whatever they do, if they recall our councillors are standing steadfast, resolute that they belong to the MDC Alliance. They would like to deliver superior services as guided by the policy offerings of the MDC Alliance.
And as MDC Alliance, had you not foreseen this happening, given that the issues spilled into the courts, and there was disgruntlement among some of your members, some who have indicated that they were against the leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. Now, had you not, as a party, foreseen such things happening, and what is your strategy around protecting the votes of the people who voted for you into power?
there is absolutely no single person who is in the MDC who was against the leadership of President Nelson Chamisa. President Nelson Chamisa was voted for by the people. President Nelson Chamisa was bequeathed upon the MDC family by the founding President Morgan Tsvangirai as the best foot forward. The MDC alliance, consisting of 7 parties, after the death of President Tsvangirai, sat down and said our best foot forward was President Nelson Chamisa. And look at what happened, 2.6 million votes. The people were correct. So there was no disgruntlement whatsoever. If anything, there was happiness that this charismatic leader with a good history in the party, with a lot of experience how to run issues in the party, came to the helm and did very well at the plebiscite.
When you say there was no disgruntlement, sorry to digress from the issue at hand, but when you say there was no disgruntlement, and this is where, we now have lots of MDCs on the market. We've got another that has taken over, your headquarters, and it is recalling your members of parliament. It is recalling your members of council, and those are the same people who went to Congress in Gweru, and coming together with the other team that felt, pushed out when Advocate Chamisa took over. Now, when you say there was no disgruntlement, are you not hiding behind a finger, to really say we have a problem as a party somehow, that needs to be addressed to further protect your electorate from future harm and abuse like what we're experiencing right now?
I don't see any disgruntlement. What I see is sour grapes. A lot of the guys who purport to have been disgruntled actually competed at the Gweru Congress of the MDC Alliance. It's only after they didn't make it that they decided to backstab the whole Congress, that they decided to fight the whole lot of people who participated in the Congress processes. So it's just sour grapes. People who didn't find favor with the voting publics of the MDC, who are now trying to find a little place to hide, trying to find a way of resuscitating their own political fortunes. Some of them actually accepted positions in the MDC Alliance Standing Committee and National Executive after the Congress. So what went wrong then?
So they were eager participants in a ZANU-PF agenda. Is that what you're saying?
They participated in the MDC Alliance Congress that happened in May last year. But when they lost, they thought, why don't we try again by cooperating with ZANU-PF?
So we are live on Zim Daily Facebook page, Honorable Jizai, and obviously a lot of people have taken interest and are asking questions. Butani Dlov, you're asking, did you confirm to both parties about your live interview before you came on live? Yes, we've been in touch with leader Kali Pugeni, and he has just confirmed with us to get hold of Mr. Mudzingwa. So we are waiting for him to come on board, and we'll be able to have that conversation with the MDC-T as well. We have Wilson Kaungwa saying, I couldn't happen due to coronavirus. I don't know what you're trying to say, Kaungwa, but please continue to come on board and let's hear what you're saying. Lydia Mudila, it's okay, you can skip Pugeni. Okay, so I'll not read that one, but yeah, thank you so much, Lydia, for coming through and listening. We definitely want to hear the MDC-T voice, no matter our own personal opinions about the different individuals. So on Zim Daily, we thrive on bringing everybody on board. Maxwell McJohn Chirinda, you said, let Honorable Judai also tell us what MDC Alliance expected when it was divided with MDC Town. I think you meant MDC-T there. Didn't they foresee what is happening now? Okay, so I think we had a bit of a chat on that particular question. Did you not foresee what is happening now? Um, Lydia Mudila comes through again and said their 3 months court extension has expired. That is for MDC-T. There is no law and order. That's the general problem here. Honorable Jizai, let me ask you this question. Do you feel that what Lydia Mudila has spoken about here is relevant to what is happening now, or does it explain why we are in the situation that we are now? He's saying there is no law and order. That's the general problem here.
Look, I mean, they absolutely, um, this SC judgment, okay,
Mm-hmm.
turned the
Mm-hmm.
wheels of time. It's unprecedented that you would
Yeah.
get the wheels of time being turned 6 years back. Most of these things had been taken over by events. But be that as it may, the EOC has been called. Why has it not happened? I mean, you hear that it's because of COVID and things like that. But they've been recalling people during COVID. They have been meeting
Mm-hmm.
during COVID. They could have
Mm-hmm.
arranged um, properly that Congress would happen in the context of the new normal, which is the COVID pandemic. They should have been calling proper meetings of the 2014 structures. They did that.
Mm-hmm.
They claim they did that on Zoom. Um I mean, are they cherry picking what to do and what not to do?
Mm-hmm.
So let's get the EOC going and get dispensed with it so that the democratic contingent can move forth and smash the ZANU PF governance systems. That's
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. So it's no excuse to be saying because of the COVID-19, that's why we have a problem when other things are being moved and done within the confines and the cover of COVID-19. All right. Thank you so much, Lydia Mudila.
Yes,
I hope you've been
they
there.
knew very clearly. They knew clearly that if you trigger a recall, the next
Mm-hmm.
stage is
To
is
go for by.
a by elections. They knew very
Mm-hmm.
well that if you went to court demand an EOC, the next
Mm-hmm.
thing is to run it.
Mm-hmm.
Let it happen.
Okay. All right. No, we'll continue to try and get hold of Mr. Mudingwa from the MDC-T so that he's able to also respond to some of these questions. But should you not be able to come on board today, we'll definitely create time for him either tomorrow or any other day. Um, Daniel Mudzongwe says MDC ZANU is just a bunch of discombobulated goons bent on giving their colleagues in ZANU-PF an unfair advantage. All right, you talked about MDC-T being a willing party to what ZANU-PF is doing, and you said its agenda being to disarm the opposition. Do you agree with what Daniel Mudzungwe has said there that they are bent on giving their colleagues in ZANU-PF an unfair advantage?
Look, anybody who works against the democratic collective
Mm.
is working for ZANU. I mean, if you want to do anything that destroys so many years of building an alternative, and who are you working for? Clearly, you are working for your masters, and look at the favors that they get. Now they suddenly they can even field proportional rep MPs. How does that happen? It's a reward for killing the opposition. Soon their leader is going to be appointed leader of opposition in the House. And only a while ago, we saw them playing Kwahanyani with President Mnangagwa in Ikwekwe. So, yeah, they are friends. They are doing their thing. They are fighting the people.
But is this fair on the people, though? Like I said, everybody, I think we really need to bring in the law experts, especially those who are behind the crafting of the new constitution. Vana Honorable Douglas Monzora, Vana Mangwana. We need to bring them here on board so that they really explain to us what the constitution really entails, because I think it's confusing what the law is doing, because the letter actually reads that according to section 2781 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe is read with the section 129 1K and section 121 of the Electoral Act. I think it's so confusing to some of us to say, what exactly are these sections of the Constitution meant to, to achieve? Are they meant to confuse us? Are they meant to, cover up, some of these loopholes? I mean, would Zimbabweans really have gone to vote for somebody if they knew that at a stroke of a pen, someone can be recalled just like that? Right. Let's continue to look at what people have been saying here on Zimbabwe Daily. All right, Judith, you feel that it's a group of losers. All right. I'm not too sure who they is a group of losers, but yeah, thank you so much for coming through. Busani Ndlovu, you are said that Cooper is just a ZANU-PF puppet who is used to divide the MDC alliance. All right, we'll definitely need to get the side of the MDC-T so that we really understand what their motivation is as they do what they are doing right now. Edwin Munya Namo Inesu, thank you so much for coming through to us. You say it's interesting what is happening now. I can't wait for by-elections. I want to see what is going to happen to the MDC-T. All right, so Honorable Zai, let's talk about what Edwin talks about right here, the by-elections. Are they likely to be held? Because in the House of Assembly, we noticed that the MDC-T gave a list of members that they would want to, to get into parliament. Clearly, people have sent through petitions rejecting this, but are we likely to see such a route where certain individuals are handpicked and placed into council, for instance?
Sorry, Von, I lost you there. But you are asking whether by-elections will take place. I saw a notice today, and ZEC pronounced that there will be by-elections. In fact, they put together a new policy of how to run elections in the context of the pandemic. So the by-elections are coming. For me, it's a sad day that MDC-T effected these recalls. I don't know for to what end, because they cannot dream of even getting a single seat out of this. History has told it. Cooper tried to run in 2018, and she got a paltry 45,000 compared to President Nelson Chamisa's 2.6 million. There is no miracle. There won't be any miracle votes. She cannot hope to get miracle votes. She should not dream of getting miracle councillors and miracle mayors and miracle directly elected members of parliament. She just did this to cut the nose so as to spite the face. and the by-elections are coming, people will prove that. The court of the public opinion will loudly laugh at Coupe and company. But the sad thing is that it's an expensive expedition. It's going to cost the fiscus up $18 million. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary cost that is being occasioned by Coupe and company on the nation. So that's the sad side of the thing. But I can tell you now that if Coupe and company get a single seat in Harare or in Blawayo, I will change my name to Cecil Rizai Coupe.
Is that a promise, Honorable Rizai?
Yes, I will.
We'll hold you to that. Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Rizai. We continue to get comments from the people who are following us. We have Maxwell McJohn Chirinda is asking if the MDC Alliance see victory in 2023, or will it be affected by the ongoing situation? What plan is there in place to overcome this? Okay, so thank you so much, Maxwell. We'll definitely keep this question for the MDC Secretary for Elections. Today we've asked Honorable Cecil Rizai. He's the MDC Alliance Secretary for Local Government. So we want to hear more on what is happening on the local government area. Your councillors, Honorable Rizai, the MDC Alliance has been in control of 26 out of 32 local authorities. Now, my question is, in the last 20 years, not much really has happened, sadly. I think we had the initial years where change was actually experienced. But of late, it's been a scandal after scandal, the whole land problem, corruption issues, unplanned settlements and everything. Is this part of the MDC's smart policy on local government? I mean, what justifies your house?
What you need to do is to do a comparison and also the context in which our local authorities are operating. The local authorities are operating in the context of hyperinflation, in the context of 95% unemployment, in the context of serious interference from central government, in the context of serious poisoned sender local relationships. All these things point to a very difficult situation in the local government sphere. The Constitution foresees devolution, where your councils or local authorities and provincial governments can operate without too much control from the center. This is not happening because clearly central government is not interested in people determining their own solutions in their own localities. So there we are. The environment for performance is poisoned because of poor sender to periphery relationships. The Constitution provides for 5% minimum of the budget going to local authorities. But look at how that is shared. Gradually, some money goes to Harare. Gradually, some of it goes to Blawayo. But most of it is eaten away by corruption. So this is how you have to look at it. Look at their capacity to employ. they are unable to employ suitable staff because of interference with the local government board. They are unable to do their own effective purchasing because all purchasing is centrally controlled. And you know, it's centralization of corruption. That's what happens. You look at water treatment chemicals, for example, all local authorities have been forced to buy from one place. And if they were able to buy directly, they would spend less than 50% of what they are spending at the moment. And all this is driven by a greed, corrupt central government. This is the problem that we have. Now I'm saying let's compare the services that are provided by our local authorities and the services that are provided by central government under the same conditions. I would like to invite any one of you here to visit Harare Gomo Hospital. I would like to invite any one of us here to go to Parirenyatwa. Those are killing bags. They are not hospitals. But if you want some relief, go to Wilkins. If you want some relief, go to the suburban, which is run by our council. And the picture is the same throughout the country. If you go to Gweru, if you want some modicum of health service, you go to a council clinic. You don't go to a general hospital, because you walk to a general hospital which is controlled by central government. You are assured to come back in a coffin. So do these comparisons and see that our local authorities are doing a very big job under the circumstances that they are operating in. Yeah.
You bring up some very, interesting but sad reality of the things that you're facing every day. I mean, tell me what high density suburb is not struggling with sewer issues. What suburb is not struggling with with no water? I mean, where I stay, I don't remember the last time that I had water on my tap. But my question is, knowing that this is a poison chalice, when we are looking at local authorities and how they're operating, why is the MDC insisting on being part of this? I mean, are you not exposing your own people by continually being there and, putting up a brave face when the policies are just not working at all?
No, you can never give up on the people that voted us into power to deliver these services. History has taught us. If you look at 2008, central government took over water in Harare and many other local authorities through Zinwa. And the end product was unprecedented cholera in that period. In the same period, Blawa and Mashingo refused to give away their water competence. And it's only Blawayo and Mashingo which didn't register too many cholera cases. So we know if we give up these competencies to central government, people will die. Our central government has got this bad behavior of politicizing all the services. Just compare what's happening in Harare to what's happening in Murewa, what's happening in Bikita. Food relief, people are denied that on political grounds. Luckily, in Harare, where we manage, we treat the citizens equally. So we cannot give up. We would like to keep protecting the people using the mandate they gave us. And I can tell you, if you give these competencies to central government, there will be total collapse.
But how has you as a party dealt with the issues of corruption? Because really, inyaya inotorwadza inoshuwisa inyaya iri kunetsa vagari, in all the different cities and towns, because nyaya corruption iri kunetsa, because mataura yenyu kuti the corruption has been centralized, especially panyaya procurement, of chemicals and etc. But how about the localized corruption? Tikunzwa kuti makanselas enyu ari kupa vanhu mastands ndo kumberi kwema-land barons.
You know, it's so ridiculous. I heard that. I heard somebody say one of our councillors took 38 stands for himself, and I said, how can that happen? It's impossible. It's just fiction. You know, it's fiction. You know, these councillors are not the ones that directly allocate stands to people. They just make a policy, and allocation is done by the executive. And I don't see any single town clerk or housing director giving 40 stands to one council. How does that happen? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous fiction.
All right.
Admitted, you could get one or two cases of petty corruption. We have dealt decisively with corruption as the MDC. Wherever we have found it, we have nipped it brutally in the bud. We are unlike our colleagues ZANU-PF, who the more corrupt you are, the more you get promoted. We deal decisively against corruption, and they've got examples.
Can we get those? Because I think the last time people remember that you dealt decisively with anybody was when the Chitungwiza Town Council, the whole council was fired on the basis of corruption. Can you give us other examples, more recent maybe?
Well, I mean, the typical case here, Chitungwiza, it was proven, and so we dealt with it decisively. Let me see our competitors bring on the table as well where they have dealt decisively with corruption. We have put in place a mechanism to make sure that we sniff for corruption immediately it begins to happen. We have got an integrity committee manned by men and women of integrity, of impeccable qualifications and personality. This is what we do as the MDC. And also, we are saying, really, if the corruption does exist, where is Zach? Where is the police? They should deal with that. Yeah, but because because this is just fiction, you see people being arrested in the middle of the night for investigations rather than doing the reverse. It's just abuse. It's propaganda, abuse, and fiction.
So we've got Mugova here. We're saying, and I think we just need to interrogate this point that he raises. He says that's the problem with politics of today: denial of facts. You control 23 out of 32 councils, and you still deny that MDC Alliance is not corrupt. Right, that's what it says. Mugova. It just says that is the problem with politics of today: denial of facts. You control 23 out of 32 councils, and you still deny that MDC Alliance is corrupt.
Well, I mean, I am saying the MDC Alliance has got zero tolerance to corruption. And if any one of our employees is found with hands in the till, we chop those hands off, and we have shown in the past that we do. Where it's proven, we deal with it. But where it's fiction and political opportunity, it's just woolly statements coming from our competitors, ZANU-PF, really, I mean, it's got to be proven.
Okay. So these are just allegations that are just
and we are
flying
saying we are saying together we have got our own systems. We have got our own systems, but there are national systems as well. ZAC is present, the police is there, but they have never really proven, apart from harassment of these councillors, there has never been any proof of corruption, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you so much for that comment, Honorable Zhizai. I think we will deal with that one adequately as we go further. We intend to have more of these conversations around the local authorities, because a lot of our struggles that you're facing on a daily basis are because our local councils are not functioning well. Why should we have transport problems in a country where there are elected officials running townhouse, where there are paid workers at townhouse who should be thinking strategically around, mobile transportation of people? How can we have challenges of water when we have people sitting in council chambers and not thinking about building reservoirs, building dams in order to supply its citizens? How can we have a challenge of sewer when we have a whole council that decides to say, let's give people stands and not make provisions for expanding the sewer system? Seriously, something must be wrong somewhere, and we need to get to the bottom of it. Do people have the kind of council that they deserve? Is it politics playing a game, or is it a matter of unstrategic thinkers occupying the wrong offices? All right, so these are some of the questions that are continuously coming from residents and citizens of this country, because we certainly want to take our nation to a next level. I mean, central government issues, they'll always be there, and we really need to come to to we really need to come to a logical conclusion, especially of the political issues that are affecting us. Thank you so much, Honorable Judai. We are on Zimbabwe Daily, a platform where we bring you news first, and we want to make sure that we interrogate every issue that is happening in our country. And the issue of recalls has been on people's agenda for a long time. People have been watching. Others have been actively involved in coming up with petitions to stop ZAC from continued harassment of the electorate. Today, we intended to have the MDC-T. We also intended to have the residents associations represented on the platform. And thank you so much, Honorable Zai, for making the time to come on the platform for us to have this conversation. Thank you also to all our viewers who have made this conversation live. Your contribution is always amazing, and we really, really appreciate it. Honorable Jidai, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming onto the platform.
Thank you so much, Yvonne.
Great. All right. So Zimbabwe, tikuona nyaya dziri kungoitika idzi. I think every one of us can appreciate kuti tine dambudziko, especially in our local authorities, and the recent recalls have not helped either, because now tane nyaya dzekuti we can have ma commissions running ma city councils. And I think most of the complaints that we've had, even with ma councillors aripo iko zvino ndekuti the commissions that have ran in the past have not just atokonzeresa more of the problems that we are currently battling with. Nyaya dzemvura, tanzwa vazvidzai vichitaura kuti when Zinwa took over, a whole lot of things were destroyed. And when council took back the water system, Morton Jeffrey was almost dead, and a whole lot of other problems. We are going to have an invitation extended to the recalled mayor of Harare, Vagomba, timbozwawo kuti what was really going on, where were they with the plans also to have Vamafume on board. How does it feel to be a leader and not necessarily have the quorum of the councillors that he needs to run the council? So thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Mic, where we look at stories making the headlines and what they entail, the implications thereof. Thank you so much, people, for coming on board. Mugo, we love your contribution. You've been so up. I mean, the passion that you have with the issues of local government shows that a lot still needs to be done. Zima shower, they, you know, anyway, we don't want to talk about that today. We just wanted to have a conversation around the recalls. What is it? What is the agenda around recalling my members of council voterwa nevanhu in 2018? Was it a mistake? Are they saying that the MDC would not have, the MDC-T would not have fielded those candidates that you voted for? I wouldn't know. But thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Mic. Join me again as we bring more of these conversations onto your screen. My name is Yvonne Muchaka. Have yourselves a blessed evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and God bless you.